You are listening to The Tatiana Show. This show may contain adult content, language, and humor and is intended for mature audiences. If that's not you, please stop listening. Nothing you hear on The Tatiana Show is intended as financial advice, legal advice, or really anything other than entertainment. Take everything you hear with a grain of salt. Oh, and if you're listening to us on an affiliate network, the ideas and views expressed on this show are not necessarily those of the network that you're listening on or of any sponsors or any affiliate products you may hear about on this show. Now that that's squared away, let's start the show. Hey there, it's time for the show, The Tatiana Show, where you make friends and talk life and crypto. What's the point of all this technology without a little love in our lives? Our hosts, Tatiana Moroz, Dr. Stephanie Murphy, and Lauren Kasovitz, have come together to bring you Proof of Love. Go to proofoflovecast.com. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Tatiana Show. I'm really happy to be talking with you guys, like I'm always happy to be talking with you guys here at the show. We've been making a little bit more content lately. I released some stuff that I've been doing live interviews from conferences, but today I'm broadcasting from my apartment. And I'm talking to Josh Shigala, and we're going to have a guest pretty soon. But first, we're going to talk about regular stuff. Josh, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Tatiana?
I'm happy. I want the winter to be over. That's about it.
You've been doing good inside job stuff, though, like, doing stuff inside, like your new Proof of Love podcast. I've listened to it. My girlfriend absolutely loves it. It's such a good show.
This is how you can bridge the gap with like boyfriends and girlfriends who resent their boyfriends in crypto. They can listen to Proof of Love, and then they can talk about relationship issues, and the girls will feel all included, and then everybody will be happy, or vice versa. It happens the other way too. But we're going to have Emily on, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, we just did an episode about nonviolent communication with Pamela Morgan. So that was really interesting. I don't like that title for it, so I prefer compassionate communication. I think that's another option that you can use. But anyway, that's been kind of fun, and people are listening. So people, if you are listening now and you're like, what is this weird show about relationships with Stephanie Murphy and Lauren Kasovitz, go to proofoflovecast.com.
Yeah, be sure to subscribe.
So also on that token, I feel like that was a little bit more salesy than I normally want to talk about my podcast because it's like a labor of love. But we do have a new podcast sponsor for the Tatiana Show. Do you want to know who it is?
Yeah, definitely. Lay it on me. Who is it?
So it's actually another podcast called Token Talks, and they're part of Wing VC. So it's a venture capital company. And I started listening. I have a few key episodes that were sent over to me, one of them being about Harbor, tokenized private equity, and then a few other ones. But if people want to check it out, they can go to wing.vc/podcast. You can subscribe and listen to Token Talks right there, wherever you get your podcasts. And I don't know, I think it's kind of neat to hear about crypto stuff from a venture capitalist instead of just, a random speculator or enthusiast or developer or whatever. I don't know. It's a different take. So check it out, guys.
Absolutely. Talks. It's one of those things that VCs, some VCs really get it and some VCs don't. So it's great to have a podcast with VCs that actually get crypto and understand it and understand the space. So that's really good.
Yeah. Well, people can check it out, see for themselves, decide for themselves. Wing.vc/podcast. So our guest is somebody quite cool. But before we go to that, do you have any updates for me about what's happening in your world or for our audience? Is there anything that you're working on or anything that you want to tell us about?
Yeah, I'm giving a talk in La Palma de Mallorca up north of Spain.
Oh, Christian's putting that on. Yeah, I know. Christian, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I was supposed to do that event. Tone is going to be there. I think Lisa Chang is going to be there. There's quite a few cool people going.
Yeah. So I'm super excited about that.
Have you been to Mallorca?
Since last year. Yeah, I've been once before for a holiday. So it's like a second Germany. It's like Germany in Spain. It's really odd.
Yeah, I like it there too.
But it's beautiful, and we're really getting close to launching the alpha release of Volkswagen 2.0, which is super exciting. allowing people to trade into Bitcoin and physical gold, but also other cryptos to crypto. And it's just loving the new interface. Just really, it's being an entrepreneur. It's when things are finally coming together, you get really excited, and I'm just super excited to, by next week, I think I should be able to release some screenshots and stuff.
You know what I was just thinking, and I feel like it would be shilly, but I think we should maybe walk people through it sometime, because I want to know how to do that. And I haven't really utilized my account over there. And, the markets are crazy and gold is kind of interesting at the moment. So I don't know. Let's give it a shot another time. Either way, why don't we jump in, because we've got Matt here and he's going to be telling us about tickets using the blockchain for different kind of concerts and everything. So Matt, thank you so much for joining the show.
Tatiana, thanks for having me.
Where did we meet?
At Blockland.
In Cleveland.
Mm-hmm. I think it was a snowy dinner, a snowy steak dinner.
You know what? I absolutely love Cleveland, and I thought that the vibe there was really good. Didn't you feel like a prize pony at that conference?
I've been to my fair share of blockchain conferences. I thought Cleveland actually blew it out of the water. I thought that was one of the best blockchain conferences I'd been to. I had been to Cleveland 2 years prior on a consulting project and really liked what I saw in the city. And so I was happy the city got to showcase itself in that way. And I was blown away, and they treated us so well. It's just a wonderful experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And it gave us a chance to chat. We talked a little bit about your Navy background, right?
Correct.
And we also talked about your music project. So for people who are not familiar with our conversation we had, maybe you could introduce yourself to the audience and say your last name for me, because I forgot to ask you, and I have a guess, but I don't want to butcher it.
No worries. It's Zarracina, so it's Spanish.
I thought it was Italian. Interesting. Okay.
I do get that a lot. Obviously, if you've seen me, you know that I don't have the typical complexion of a Spaniard, but I guess in northern Spain, they tend to be a little bit more fair-skinned and fair-haired. So, and then my mom's Irish too. So that's why I don't look too Spanish, but the name is actually Spanish. And if you look it up, there's actually a Zarracina cider. So there's a vineyard in Gijón, Spain, where there is bottled Zarracina cider. So in some way, shape, or form, I'm related to that group.
Nice.
If you go there and you brought like your ID, do you think that they would give you a free round? I think they would.
I think so. I think they'd be cool to some degree. I mean, we're not too closely related, so I'm sure they'd probably give me a round or two, and then afterward I'd have to be a normal paying patron.
That sounds about right. But okay, cool. So we've gotten past the name and your heritage. I like that. Now on to the other stuff.
Yeah. So obviously we met in Cleveland, and I think our conversation went all over the map, and enjoyed chatting with you, and happy to be back with you today. And a little bit about me. So in a past life, I flew helicopters for the U.S. Navy. I also consulted for Deloitte. I worked in corporate innovation for a couple of years. And currently, I'm the CEO of True Tickets. I also am the head tutor for an Oxford-sponsored course on blockchain called the Oxford Blockchain Strategy Program. So I help. That's kind of my side gig. I think as a startup CEO, you always probably need a side gig or two to make everything work. And so that's my side gig. But for True Tickets, we're a secure digital ticketing platform for the entertainment industry. And one of the things is when you look at ticketing, you see that it's a either digital or going digital. It's almost already a distributed problem. You have multiple organizations kind of managing the same inventory, and it's not as efficient as it could be. I think there was a quote in an article I read, a year ago that said the best methods for doing digital ticketing have yet to be found. And so what we're doing is working with customers, which are venues and organizations in this case, to really build a platform that really returns the rights management aspect of that ticket or that asset back to them, so they can make sure that those rules are being followed throughout the ticket lifecycle.
Yeah, ticketing's an interesting one to chuck online. I think it's at first glance you think, why? But then when you think about it more, there's some really interesting use cases like secondary markets for scalpers, which usually you don't want scalpers, but I think secondary markets is great for finding a price for tickets.
No, Josh, you're absolutely right. The secondary market, that was the interesting one. I would say that, what we've learned over the last kind of year and a half of doing this too is there's a lot more to it. There's this control aspect and the rights around the ticket that we really didn't even know. And so one of our customers is a venue in Florida. They have Hamilton coming to town, and they're working with us on building a solution. And they brought up this idea of all the other sorts of rights and controls that go with the ticket. So for example, Josh, let's say you're a VIP ticket holder and you transfer me a ticket and I'm not a VIP member of this organization. Should I get all the same VIP rights and accesses that you get? And most of the venues would say, no, I don't want Matt to get that because Josh is the one who's the VIP that we want to take care of. Now, if Matt comes in and scans and wants to come into our VIP lounge, we want to be able to tell him, hey, you're not allowed to access this because that right was digitally stripped on that transfer based on the rule set. But if you'd like to become a VIP member, here's how you do it. So that you kind of take that control idea. So it's not only the secondary market, but there's all these other things that these venues would like to do to either better know their customers, better drive membership, or improve the customer experience.
So let's walk through it. Because the other problem is when I've gone to see big name tickets, like, I don't know, Rage Against the Machine or something like that, instantly sold out. Like, it's so fast, it's unbelievable. And it just makes me think, well, these tickets are underpriced because it should, like, either that or they need some sort of mechanism, because it's so frustrating as a fan to be able to not get a ticket because it's like you're refreshing, and we're open and they're sold out. Oh.
No, I think you're absolutely right. And it's one of those where there's this kind of gray area between the ticket price and what venues and artists want today, which is that quick sellout. But then it's that same desire to have that quick sellout that creates that secondary market and then creates all the kind of malicious behavior we see in the market where you have bots getting the tickets and things of that nature. And I think it's one of those that the industry itself is going to have to almost rethink of pricing of a ticket as like an IPO of a stock. It starts at a certain price and then it just changes based on market demand and supply. And one of the things that you can do with blockchain technology is really track that change. So you could issue a ticket for, let's say, a $25 face value. And then if it changes in price, if it goes up in price, you can have a rule set whereby revenue is remunerated and reallocated based on that predefined rule set before the transaction takes place, such that everyone's remunerated fairly to the way they would like. And typically it's the venue, it's the production, it's those people who first originally sell the tickets who are the ones kind of missing out. And so they want to make sure that they have that control followed consistently throughout the life cycle of the ticket.
What kind of technology are you guys using? Like, are you using ERC20 tokens, or how does it work?
So when we first looked at building our solution, we were debating Ethereum and Fabric. And so we were obviously looking at, this was, I think, summer, fall of 2017. I think Fabric version 0.6 was the only thing that was out at the time on their end, and it wasn't very capable. And then they rolled out version 1.0 in September. And so as we started looking at version 1.0 and saw that, look, this actually is starting to show some capability, we decided to go with that. And it's one of those, from a systems architecture standpoint, it's always about trade-offs, right? So, I think there's the trifecta of things you want in blockchain, which is you want security, you want scale, and you want decentralization. And right now you can only get two. If you're on the public blockchains, you're getting decentralization, you're getting security, but you're not getting scale. And if you go with a solution like Fabric, you're getting scale, you're getting security, but you're not getting decentralization. And so for us, we made the architecture decision to focus on scale and security, which we felt was very important in ticketing. And that's what we're building on. And we've been building on it for about 1.5 years now.
Awesome. Where are you guys in terms of when you think it'll be available for people to start using it?
So we actually built in 2018 a B2B2C application. And so our app was actually in the market. It was in the Play Store. It was in the App Store from June to about November of last year. And we did 7 events, fully integrated with Fabric, fully integrated with Stripe. I think we did about 20 grand in top line ticketing revenue, about 1,500 transactions on chain. But the biggest thing we learned in talking to people in the industry was they said, look, we like what you're doing and we would like to use it. But we want to maintain our current customer delivery channel. And so since then, what we've been focusing on is working with partners on more of a B2B solution, whereby we're integrating with their web channel to allow a digital ticket as a delivery option for their current customer delivery channel, such that if you log on to this venue's website, and we have multiple venues, we actually signed our second paid POC contract this week, and we'll likely have more to come. But you'll log onto this venue's website, you'll buy a ticket, you'll select, there'll be like a drop down, and there'll be box office, maybe mail, print at home, or digital. And if you select digital, that'll be facilitated through essentially a white label instance of what we're building, such that the experience of the customer, they will never really leave the confines of that venue, but we'll be helping facilitate that transaction. And so we've got our very first POC coming up next Friday. And then we've got the month of April, we've got about 4 more proofs of concept with various different venues. And then we'll be building out kind of a second proof of concept that builds on this first set. And we're looking to pilot with these organizations, I'd say late June, early July, to then roll out a production solution in September.
I think the second part of what I find really frustrating with ticketing is that if I do really like a band and I end up finding one on eBay, a ticket, because it sold out within milliseconds, then, and it's not happened to me directly, but it's happened to a friend of mine, where he'll go to the venue and the eBay seller sold the same ticket 3 times, 4 times. Mm-hmm. And the other ticket, the people that bought the other tickets actually arrived earlier, already in, and the person at the gate looks at me like, oh, bad luck, you're already in there, and you basically get scammed. And I think this sort of thing could combat that, right?
Absolutely. I mean, what blockchain does better than anything else is allow for the transaction of an asset, a digital asset, but not the duplication of it. And so this is one of those where if somebody tries to do that, it'll be very easy to flesh out what the reality is, because you'll have essentially this chain of custody, this digital forensics, if you will, of that ticket. And so if somebody comes to the theater or the venue and says, look, I bought this ticket, it's fraudulent, let me in, and they can go, okay, well, actually, why don't you come to our box office, and we're going to look up that ticket, and we're going to look up who owned it, when did the transaction happen, how did it happen? I mean, you may find out that person never owned it. They tried to screenshot something from a site somewhere. I don't want to get too much into the architecture of our system, but it's one of those where really until you're almost ready to go to the show, there's no ability for someone to duplicate that asset. And even once they do have that QR code, there's preventative measures you can implement from an operational standpoint that essentially makes it very, very difficult for anybody to do that. And so what the customers we're working with like a lot is that it's actually going to make it a lot easier on their staff to deal with any sort of those issues, and then they can actually reallocate their staff to do maybe more value add things to improve the customer experience or drive revenue in other ways.
Yeah, when I was first trying to convince VCs back in the day of what Bitcoin is, that's exactly how I'd explain it. I'd say, look, we have digital assets, right? We have MP3s, but when I send one, you don't know that I haven't kept a copy of it. Mm-hmm. Bitcoin is the first digital asset that can't be copied. I can send it and you know exactly that I don't have it anymore. And so it works perfectly for that sort of thing. Absolutely.
I think it's one of those exciting, when I was at Thales, I was working on blockchain for Thales, and we looked at 200 different use cases in the aerospace and defense industry. And I thought we found a handful of opportunities that were a good fit there. But ticketing was one of those that stood out right away. Just as your ticketing is going digital, it's a digital asset. You have multiple people kind of managing or tracking the same inventory. And you look at that and you say, that's incredibly inefficient. And if there's an industry whereby we think blockchain is going to have an impact, and I think have an impact relatively soon, I think ticketing is one of those. And I'm excited that our startup is one of those that are exploring this opportunity.
Tatiana, when are you going to sell your tickets on True Tickets?
I don't know. We're gonna have to try that out. Matt's gonna be in New York pretty soon, so we're gonna hang. Maybe we can try it out then.
Absolutely. I
Very
look forward
cool.
to it.
So where can people find out more about this?
They can find out about us on our website, www.truetickets.io or true-tickets.com. Obviously, you can follow me on Twitter at ML Zarracina. You can follow us at Twitter as well at true_TKTS. And we're also on LinkedIn. I think we're all over. So if anybody wants to get to know us a little bit better, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to chat. But we're really, really positive. And Josh, you talked about being excited as a startup. We're really excited about what 2019 has to offer for us too. I think working with the venues and the customers we have in an engaged and enthusiastic way is just exciting. And it's one of those where it's hard to contain your enthusiasm. So I'm glad we're both in a similar positive situation.
Thanks so much, everybody. Please make sure that you go to Vaultoro.com, get your gold Bitcoin exchange action going. Please check out CryptoMediaHub.com. Of course, it's my company that does PR and marketing for the crypto space. Thank you one more time to our Token Talks sponsor. Go and check them out, wing.vc/podcast. And make sure you go and check out proofoflovecast.com. Hear all the latest love news from the blockchain. So I'll talk to you all soon.
Much to check out.
Indeed. All right. Take care. Bye, everybody. Thanks.
Ciao.
Hey there, it's time for the show, the Tatiana Show, where you make friends and talk life and crypto. We gotta think and reflect and use lots of intellect with our hearts when we work together. I know that it can be so hard out there, looking all around and saying that life ain't fair. So that is why we will fight and stay up late at night, listening to the Tatiana Show. Thank you for listening to the Tatiana Show. Please follow us on Twitter at Queen Tatiana or on Facebook and Instagram at Tatiana Moroz Music. More episodes can be found at thetatianashow.com, and make sure you leave a review on iTunes and tell your friends. The Tatiana Show has been brought to you by CryptoMediaHub.com, a boutique marketing and PR agency for Bitcoin and beyond.